What's good, YouTube? You know who it is. It's your boy Neon Diamond 101 back again talking about Degrassi, where it went wrong. Just a quick video, the next generation versus next class. So let's get on into this. But before I start, just want to say that this is a random video off the top of my head. So if I have any inaccuracies, obviously just let me know in the comments. So let's just get on into this. So from season 1 to season 8, Degrassi aired on the N in the United States. Obviously, I am in the United States. I know Degrassi is a Canadian show. But yeah, I'm in the US, and in the United States, from season 1 to season 8, it aired on the N. I'm not sure if you guys remember the N. It was a block, pretty much what Teen Nook used to be. And the end was sweet. I mean, what was it? Degrassi, Caitlin's Way, a whole bunch of other shows. I don't know if you guys remember Caitlin's Way. A whole bunch of other shows pretty much centered towards preteens, teenagers, pretty much for the older adolescent audience. The good old growing up in the 90s. Anyways, so yeah. Um, so yeah, season 1, season 8, the N. And then after that, the N kind of rebranded into Teen Nick. But what I really want to talk about is, first of all, yes, the N rebranded into Teen Nick, and that probably had something to do with it. I know Stefan B, the executive producer or something, director of Degrassi, you know who I'm talking about, Principal Simpson. He mentioned something about, or someone mentioned that there were some things that Degrassi wanted to do, but Teen Nick was like, nah. And I want to say, if you look at TNG and Next Class, obviously, Next Class is only 3 seasons so far, and not as many episodes as season 3 of 3 seasons of TNG, if that makes any sense. If we look at the early days of Degrassi, personally for me, I'm not sure about you guys, but season 7 I think was probably one of my favorites. I have watched all the seasons. I'm pretty sure I have. Maybe not every episode of season 1, but I've pretty much watched every episode of Degrassi, and even Next Class. Watch all episodes of Next Class and the majority of TNG. Um, Season 7 was probably one of my favorites. And if we compare TNG to Next Class, obviously this generation there's more technology based, like the swatting issue. And if you guys remember the whole Twitter issue with like Fiona and like her being stalked, that's a thing now. It wasn't really much back then. I mean, I know Darcy had a storyline with Peter when she was doing the camp thing, and like she was stalked, and then young Claire was like, she's like, Darcy, what's going on? And I know you guys, I know you Degrassi OGs know what I'm talking about. That's like one of the things I remember much about the old Degrassi is when this old guy like stalks Darcy, and Claire is like freaking out. She's still in like her glasses and like her Catholic school uniform, and that whole mess because of Peter, who told her it was like some young rich guy who's giving her money instead. Yeah, whatever. So obviously, generation wise, there's a little bit of a difference. Obviously, it's not like decades difference, or like if we're talking about like the old Degrassi Junior High or the one in like the 80s, compared to Next Class. But yeah, TNG and Next Class have very small differences, but for the most part, they're very similar. Obviously, I think if we're looking at networks, um, I know Netflix isn't really like very PG, so I'm looking forward to more of that, and I wonder if Degrassi Next Class, if Teen Nick had kept Degrassi, would they have done some of the stuff that they did? Kind of like Hunter bringing the gun to school, or just certain things. I mean, actually, no, that wasn't that extreme. I mean, they had guns prior. What's his face? One Spinner and that one dude. I forgot. Some dude brought a gun, and he was like, Holly Jane Spinner were there. I don't know, but yeah, guns really not that big of an issue. But maybe other topics, maybe like the abortion or other things, or the yeah. But although T Nick did allow Degrassi to have the Zoe rape storyline, which is pretty dark and pretty deep, but still, if we look at TNG versus Next Class, we can safely say that in TNG there was a lot more darker themes. Now, I know that Stefan B has been there for a long time. I'm not sure if that goes down to like the writers or producers, different stuff like that. But for the most part, there was a lot more dark issues. But not to say like Next Class is soft. It's just different. So that's what I want to say about that. curious about what you guys think. But also, what I really want to say is from season 1 to season 9, they had the regular format. Now, I believe ever since season 2, season 1, the premiere was like 23 minutes, but I believe ever since season 2, the first and 2 episodes were like combined, I think, so they were like 80-minute episodes, and then after that, there were 23-minute episodes. I believe 22 to 23 episodes per season, and after the first and second episode, each episode is 23 minutes. But still, that's a lot of, that's a lot of minutes for a season. 23 episodes, you cover a lot, and here is where things changed, in my opinion, for Degrassi. Now, I think you guys can say, this might be a Teen Nick issue. I don't think so, because even though the end changed to Teen Nick and then tried to rebrand themselves, it was still centered towards teenagers. Obviously, they may have tried to clean things up or try to be more controlling of Degrassi, because obviously you can see the difference between season 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12. You can definitely see the difference. If you group 7, 8, 9 together, and then 10, 11, 12 into 2 separate groups, just if you have time, watch one episode from one of those seasons, like season 7, and then watch an episode from season 12 or something, and you'll definitely see the difference. It just feels a lot different. And maybe that goes down to the writing style, but here is where it all went wrong for me. And yes, I have watched every episode of season 10. I've watched ever since, I want to say, solidly ever since I want to say season 2, I've watched every episode, but I probably have missed some. But for sure fact, ever since season 4, I've watched every episode of Degrassi. So let's just get that straight. Season 10, they announced that they're doing the whole novella episodes, and pretty much it was in the summertime or something they started, where it was we're gonna do one episode every day of the week. I think it was except for Friday, so it was 4 days a week, and then the second half would be a regular format, or it would be every Friday, because Degrassi was every Friday. So we go from 23 episodes to 44 episodes, and we're thinking, great, because when I first heard this, I was like, yes, more episodes, more Degrassi. But the writing or something was just off. Ever since the novella episodes, I feel like it was just too much, or just I don't know. Hey, they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And they gave us more episodes, which more money for the actors and actresses, more money for the cameramen, the producers. I guess Teen Nick would make more money because obviously more commercials, more stuff. 44 episodes, everyone's making more money, more attention to Degrassi. This is huge. And I just felt like ever since season 10, the novella episodes, it just felt off. And I think the last season of Degrassi, season 14, only had about 23. So they went back to the normal format, sort of, I think. I'm not sure if the first and second episodes were still a lot larger, but you get what I'm saying. The novella episodes, I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think about the novella episodes, because when I first heard about it, I was really excited. More episodes. And obviously, it was great, summer, relaxing, watching Degrassi every day of the week. And then I think there was a break, and then the remaining episodes would air every Friday. And so, same with season 11. Season 11 had 45 episodes, I believe. Season 12 had 40 episodes. Again, we're getting pretty much 2 seasons worth of episodes in one season. Season 13, 40 episodes. All these episodes. And I don't think it's a coincidence, but from season 10 to season 13, there's so much that happened. It's hard to pinpoint which season it happened. Kind of like the whole Claire and Eli thing. What happened with this one? Oh, this season or that season, or Holly J or Declan, or what happened with Fiona and this and Katie Matlin and Drew. Like this season 10, season 13. This is the rise of Drew Torres, and well, not really, but he is huge. But pretty much there's a lot going on. Um, as you all know, I enjoyed Drew Torres, and I feel like him, Eli, and obviously Claire were probably like the biggest characters. And also Jake. Jake at one point, I really like Jake. Jake at one point was pretty huge, and then he kind of faltered off. Um, I mean, him and Claire had a thing, and then him and Katie Matlin, and then he was like smoking weed, but they really didn't delve too much. And also, here's the thing: the episode format was different because they would have part one and part two of episodes. So like, um, let's see, season 10. The first episode is called "What a Girl Wants" Part One, and then episode two is "What a Girl Wants" Part Two. So it's like after that part one and part two, it's like it's over, it's done. Kind of like what I mentioned in my old Degrassi videos, where like remember Dallas had a drinking problem one episode, and then he skipped class, and then Drew was like pissed off because they're gonna get a bad grade because they're partners for this project, and they had to present. And then Dallas says he got kicked off the hockey team because he was drinking and he's stressed out. And then Drew says, "Hey Dallas, you should stop drinking," or blah blah blah. You think about your future. And in one episode, or literally no time at all, like they could have expanded on Dallas drinking. They could have helped us see more of his growth, more of his downfall. How did he start drinking? How is this going to end for him? What happens? Literally, the next episode, or like literally not much time passed, and he's like, "Oh, Drew, you're right. I should stop drinking." And that pissed me off so much because I'm like, this could have been so interesting. We've seen Degrassi. Think about Craig, him and Coke, and him, I remember, I'll never forget when, what's her face? Ellie, I think. Ellie? Yeah, Ellie. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. She walked in on him, and he was like a rock star, and, he's sniffing Coke, and he's denying it. He's like, it's just for this time. I just remember Ellie's face when she saw Craig sniffing Coke, and he was such in denial. Like, he was like, "Oh yeah, it was a one-time thing," and then it was just seeing Craig's downfall was immense because we could see him being a rock star and him wanting success and then him crashing down. It was dominoes in effect. It was a domino effect, and we could see how Craig, little by little, he was addicted, he was denying it, and how Ellie was like, "Okay, Craig, you gotta stop," and he was still in denial, and how his whole downfall. And obviously he had issues with, girls, and obviously him, I believe his father was beating him. I'm not sure, his father or stepfather. Yeah, that was pretty sad. I remember being a young kid, I was like scared because like Craig's dad was like beating him. I was like, I was like really scared. Like it's just crazy how like when you're younger, like different things scare you. Um, because I had never seen anything like that. And by the way, I've never been beaten before, so just lay that out there. It was just new to me. Like I never had seen like child abuse, or I had never known. I was just a young lad, enjoying Degrassi, and obviously for most of Degrassi TNG there was lighthearted moments, but then they would get real. That's why they say Degrassi gets real. But for next class, they only have 10 episodes per season, 23 minutes. So they have to fit in everything and wrap up storylines in only 10 episodes. And obviously they kind of cross over to other seasons. But for the most part, there's no like part one, part two. This gets solved. It kind of like season 3. We saw Maya bits and pieces, and then we're kind of wondering what happened. And then we kind of towards the end we saw like something's bothering Maya because there were hints in the beginning, and I'm like, she has survivor's guilt. She's depressed, and then we kind of learn she's depressed. We think she's okay, and then obviously we know what happens. She attempts suicide. And it's just like a pattern. I feel like the novella episodes, I enjoyed watching Degrassi, and I don't, I'm not mad at it because there were some episodes that were really good, like kind of like the whole Zoe storyline with Luke Baker and all that stuff. That was kind of, that was really sad and, really a good, arc. And there were a whole bunch of other arcs from season 10 and season 13 which were really good. I'm not going to lie, like, but I think if we all can agree, like season 10, season 11, season 12, season 13, while there were very good characters, very good acting, some of the stories didn't really sit well with me. Actually, no. The stories were fine, but the way they did the stories, like they would end so quickly, and obviously they have a lot of main characters to focus on. But if Degrassi Next Class can do that in 10 episodes with only 23 minutes, it kind of makes you wonder, like, was the 44 episodes a blessing or a disguise? Because 44 episodes is a lot of episodes. Like, not too many TV shows have that for a season. And for 23 minutes per episode, that's a lot of content to cover. And I think maybe they just had too much, and they're also covering too many characters, maybe characters that we didn't care about. I know, personally, like, for me, like, I enjoy characters like Peter and Riley and Declan, but by, season 10, their stories were pretty much done. They're pretty much close to graduation, I'm pretty sure. And maybe, it has something to do with, obviously, season 9 was the last season of, Danny Van Zant and Jane and Spinner. Well, obviously Spinner came back for cameo, but and also Emma and, Manny. The season 9 was like their last season, um, unless they come back. They came back as like what's her face? Like Emma came back in a cameo last season, but yeah, they're pretty much done. Their full arc was done. And so obviously the new generation we have like Casey and obviously Connor and Claire and obviously, Fiona, Dave, Holly J. Obviously, by this time Holly J was kind of starting to be like the new big character. Obviously her and Sav had a thing, and obviously we see new generation. Season 10 was the first season of Drew, Eli, Bianca, Miss O, Adam, and Wesley. Which sucks because, well, actually, Wesley appeared in season 9, but he was a regular in season 10. But yeah, it just sucks because I feel like if you have all those episodes, like, there should be a lot of more content, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, I know I'm kind of rambling, but it's hard to explain. Like, from season 10 to 13, it's just hard to track back like certain points, and kind of like, with Darcy getting date raped, season 7 I can immediately say, hey, this is when her, and kind of like when she was on the roof and Manny was with her, season 7 I remember that specifically because it kind of reminded me of like Maya, season 3 of Next Class being on the roof, and kind of like obviously Lakehurst coming to Degrassi in season 7. That was huge. That was like huge. I'm like, what? They're like, oh yeah, Lakehurst had a fire and now they have to move to Degrassi. I'm like, that's a thing. I mean, I guess they had to make it so Lakehurst would obviously come, but yeah. So I just thought that was really interesting. Lakers have a fire and now they're coming to Degrassi. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Next Class versus TNG. Obviously, two different eras. Very similar eras, but also very different in some ways. But yeah, that's enough rambling for me. What do you guys think about it? Like I said, the end had, the golden era of Degrassi. Team Nick was still the same, just rebranded. Maybe they want to micromanage Degrassi more. But for me, if it has more to do with the writers and producers and how they handled season 10 and season 13, because for me, those seasons weren't as good as 1 through 9. So yeah, what do you guys think? Thank you all so much for watching. It's been your boy Neon Diamond 101. Peace.